So I discussed already that plant tissues are of two types. The meristematic tissue, which has that ability to undergo cell division, and the permanent tissues. So many times I was using the term mature tissues. Intercalary meristem is found between the mature tissues. So the lateral meristem is found in the mature tissue. So I was using this term. So this mature tissues are nothing but the permanent tissues. Okay, so they do not have the ability to undergo cell division. That is already known. So these permanent tissues are the cells which are produced by primary and secondary meristems. They become structurally and functionally specialized and lose the ability to undergo cell division. So what are the permanent tissues? They are the cells which are produced by they are the tissues which are produced by the primary and secondary meristems. They become structurally and functionally specialized and they lose their ability to undergo cell division. Or you can, in simple words, you can say that the meristematic tissue has differentiated to form permanent tissues. So they are called as permanent cells or mature cells, and they constitute the permanent tissues. So they are considered to be, see, they are obtained from these tissues of permanent tissues are obtained from the primary and secondary meristems, which have become structurally and functionally specialized, and they lose their ability to undergo cell division. So they are called permanent cells. So the cells in the permanent tissues, we call them as permanent cells, and they constitute permanent tissues. So if you look into this slides above, so one of the slide is background light colored dots are nothing but the parenchyma tissue, and within you find this vascular bundle. So there is a xylem, and they give the appearance of the skull shaped. So the xylem is there. So this looks almost like the monocot stem, the scattered vascular bundles in the monocot stem. So the second here you can notice is the colon cells. The walls are show thickenings because of deposition of pectin. And here it is the section of leaf, a dicot leaf. So you can notice the upper epidermis. Then they have columnar or pillar-like cells which are tightly packed without intercellular spaces. This columnar or pillar-like cells are tightly packed without intercellular spaces. So we call them as palisade chlorenchyma. And there is loosely arranged ellipsoidal or spherical cells. So this we call it as the uh, spongy chlorenchyma. So palisade mesophyll or palisade chlorenchyma, spongy mesophyll, or you can also call it as spongy chlorenchyma. They have lower epidermis, and this you can notice the only in the lower epidermis you can notice the stoma. Upper epidermis does not have that. So this is anatomy of a dicot leaf, dorsiventral leaf. So but here I want you to notice the types of tissues that they have. So you can notice here the permanent tissues. So xylem and phloem, collenchyma. Then there is the palisade chlorenchyma. Then spongy chlorenchyma, epidermal tissues. All these represents the permanent tissues which are structurally and functionally specialized, and they lose their ability to undergo cell division. They are called as permanent cells or mature tissues they are called as. So there are two types of permanent tissues, the simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. So there are two types of permanent tissues, simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. See, in case of simple permanent tissue, it is a homogeneous layer of tissues. Already you know the definition of tissue. Tissues are a group of cells having common structure, origin, and function. So homogeneous in the sense they are similar in shape and size, their function is same, their origin is same. So simple permanent tissue is homogeneous in nature. The complex permanent tissue, structurally they are different, origin is different, but their function is same. Like complex permanent tissue, two types are there, xylem and phloem. See, xylem is the water conducting tissue, Phloem is the food conducting tissue. See, the xylem, they are made up of various components of cell. Like they have this tracheary elements, which can be tracheids or vessels in case of angiosperms. In case of the trachea or vessels in case of angiosperms. In case of gymnosperms, they have tracheids. Okay, then they have this xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers. So xylem, it is composed of different types of cells structurally, origin wise they are different. So they are, in case of angiosperms, they have trachea or vessels. Then they have this xylem parenchyma, xylem fibers. Okay. In case of gymnosperms, it would be tracheids, it would be xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. Okay. Similarly, phloem, in case of angiosperms, they are composed of the sieve tube. They are composed of phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Sieve tube is found in association with the companion cell. Okay, so in case of gymnosperms, the phloem is made up of sieve cell. They are made up of. They have this phloem parenchyma, phloem fibers. So all these three together constitutes the food conducting tissue, that is the phloem. So they are heterogeneous in nature. So complex permanent tissues are heterogeneous in nature. So that is what you have to remember about. So the permanent tissues are of two types: simple permanent tissue and complex permanent tissue. So the simple permanent tissues, they are homogeneous tissue. That is, they are having cells which are similar in structure, function, and origin. So they have same types of cells or similar cells in structure and function and origin. We call them as the simple homogeneous tissue, which is found in simple permanent tissue. The simple permanent tissue is of three types: parenchyma, collenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So parenchyma is the living tissue. Collenchyma is also called as living mechanical tissue. Living mechanical tissue. Sclerenchyma is nothing but dead mechanical tissue. So sclerenchyma is the dead mechanical tissue. So let us understand about this uh, parenchyma. See, parenchyma cells you can see in this slide as well as this diagram as given in your book. So their shapes are ellipsoidal or spherical in shape. Okay, some of them are polygonal in shape. They are hexagonal in shape. So you find these various shapes in case of parenchyma. See, parenchyma is a simple permanent tissue. First point you have to remember is it is a simple permanent tissue because they do not have the ability to undergo cell division and they are homogeneous tissues. And parenchyma forms the major component within the plant organs. So parenchyma forms the major component within the plant organs. Generally, the cells are isodiametric in shape. So the parenchyma cells are isodiametric in shape. They may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal, or elongated. So parenchyma cells are isodiametric in shape. They may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal, or elongated in shape. So the primary layer of the cell wall, in case of parenchyma, they are thin and they are made up of cellulose. The primary layer of parenchyma is thin and they are made up of cellulose. Cells are closely packed and they might have intercellular spaces or they might not have intercellular spaces. See, in between the cells there are some space, isn't it? So we call that space as intercellular space. See, the parenchyma is the simple permanent tissue because they are homogeneous in nature as well as they do not have the ability to undergo cell division. They form the major composition of plant organs. So generally they are isodiametric in shape. It might be spherical, oval, round, polygonal, or elongated shapes. Parenchyma may be spherical, oval, round, polygonal, or elongated in shape. Their walls, primary layer of cell wall is thin and they are made up of cellulose. So they don't have any other chemical composition apart from cellulose. So the primary layer of cell walls are thin and they are made up of cellulose. The cells are closely packed. The parenchyma cells are closely packed with or without intercellular spaces. If intercellular spaces are present, they are small intercellular space. This is what you have to remember regarding parenchyma. See, parenchyma, functions of the parenchyma are they are undergoing photosynthesis, they help in storage of food, they are also secretory in function. So the parenchyma is also secretory in function. They bring about certain secretions. That is the role of the parenchyma. See, some of the parenchyma are found in aquatic plants like water hyacinth. If you take this section of petiole, you find this parenchyma modified as aerenchyma. They have air-filled cavities. So the bulbous nature of the eye cornea, the petiole, it helps them in floating. It is almost like a tire tube like structure. So you know that air-filled tire tube, it floats on water. So similar to that, the aerenchyma is found in case of the petiole of eye cornea. So they provide buoyancy to the plant. See, parenchyma, which is filled with, which is having air-filled cavities, we call them as aerenchyma. Now, parenchyma, it is richly filled with chloroplasts. We call them as chlorenchyma. So I have already told you about this palisade mesophyll. It is nothing but palisade chlorenchyma. You can also call it as. They have chloroplasts filled. See, palisade chlorenchyma or palisade mesophyll you find only in dicot leaf. The spongy chlorenchyma, so where they are spherical or ellipsoidal in shape with large intercellular spaces. So these are found both in monocot leaf as well as dicot leaf. Palisade mesophyll or palisade chlorenchyma is found only in case of the dicot leaf. Okay, so you should understand about that. So they are also the parenchyma, which is richly filled with chloroplasts. We call them as chlorenchyma or mesophyll. So they are of two types: chlorenchyma palisade, chlorenchyma or palisade mesophyll, and spongy chlorenchyma or spongy mesophyll. So palisade chlorenchyma, they are pillar-like or column-like cells which are tightly packed without any intercellular spaces, and they are richly filled with chloroplasts. The spongy chlorenchyma or spongy mesophyll, they are made up of spherical or ellipsoidal cells which are having large intercellular spaces, and they are richly filled with chloroplasts. So some of the aquatic plants, they have this air-filled cavities within the parenchyma, so which helps in buoyancy of the plant, that is flotation of the plant. The plants float on water, so that is because of the buoyancy of the plant. That is because of this air-filled cavities found in this water hyacinth and other aquatic plants. So that air-filled cavities present in parenchyma, we call them as aerenchyma. Okay. So next is coloncyma. See, coloncyma is also called as living mechanical tissue. So it is not dead, it is a living mechanical tissue. So what is this coloncyma made up of? So parenchyma, it is just living tissue. Okay, so some of the parenchyma cells which are found in between the xylem and phloem patch, we call that as conjunctive tissue. So in xerophytic plants, they are having the water tissues are there. The parenchyma is modified as water tissues where they conserve water along with mucilage so that this water is not easily evaporated. So there are different types of modifications of parenchyma like aerenchyma, chlorenchyma. Then there is the prosenchyma. Some of the cells of parenchyma are elongated and thick walled, and we call them as prosenchyma. Parenchyma found associated with xylem, we call it as xylem parenchyma. Parenchyma associated with phloem, we call it as phloem parenchyma. So then there is conjunctive tissue, parenchyma found in between the xylem and phloem patch in root. We call that parenchyma as conjunctive tissue. Then there is also the water tissue, wherein in xerophytic plants, the parenchyma store water along with mucilage. So we call that as water tissue. They help in the conserving water for the xerophytic plants. Okay, so these are certain things that they have not described in the parenchyma, but you should be aware about it. Okay. So simple permanent tissue or coloncyma, it is also called as, see, coloncyma is a simple permanent tissue because they are homogeneous in nature. They have a common structure, origin and function. The primary layer of cell wall is uneven. Okay, there is no uniform distribution. There is uneven deposition of pectin on the primary layer of cell wall. So that is the reason we call it as coloncyma. Okay, so it occurs in layers below the epidermis in the dicot plants. That is, we call it as the hypodermis. Below the epidermis, we call that region as hypodermis region of dicot plants. You find this coloncyma. So you can notice here different types of coloncyma. You can see that at certain regions of the walls, they are thickened, they have this pectin deposition. See, there are three types of coloncyma. Lamellar coloncyma. So you can notice here below, lamellar coloncyma is the radial and tangential walls of this coloncyma. They are filled with, they are having this layer by layer deposition of pectin. So we call it as the lamellar coloncyma. Then angular coloncyma. At the angles of the cells, the pectin is deposited. So we call this as angular coloncyma. Then lacunar coloncyma, lacuna, that is intercellular spaces. See, the lacunar coloncyma, the coloncyma is deposited in the intercellular spaces. We call such type of coloncyma as lacunar coloncyma. The first thing that you have to write whenever you are given about coloncyma is, it is a simple permanent tissue. It occurs in layer. It is found in the hypodermal region of dicot plants. It occurs in layer below the epidermis in dicot plants. It is found as a homogeneous layer or in patches. Okay, it consists of cells with much thickened corners due to deposition of pectinization especially. So their primary layer of cell wall has uneven deposition of pectin along with cellulose and hemicellulose. So now the primary layer of cell wall, they are having the cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. So intercellular spaces are absent in case of coloncyma. Coloncyma are of three types: lamellar coloncyma. So lamellar coloncyma, there is a layer by layer deposition of pectin. So on the radial and tangential walls of the coloncyma, there is a layer by layer deposition of pectin. So we call that as lamellar coloncyma. In the angular coloncyma, where you can see here, the angles of the cells are having this uneven deposition of pectin. So we call it as the angular coloncyma. Lacunar coloncyma, the intercellular spaces are filled with this pectin, and we call it as the lacunar coloncyma. So since the intercellular spaces are filled with pectin, we call it as lacunar coloncyma. Okay, so the coloncyma, they provide mechanical strength to the plants and they are living cells. That is the reason coloncyma is considered as a living mechanical tissue. So coloncyma is commonly called as living mechanical tissue. The primary layer of cell wall is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. There is uneven deposition of pectin in case of coloncyma. Okay, so the cells in case of coloncyma, they are oval or spherical or polygonal, and they often contain chloroplasts. So they have functions similar to that of the parenchyma, and they also have some additional functions. So the functions of parenchyma is photosynthesis. Since even coloncyma has chloroplasts, they can also undergo photosynthesis. So they are also secretory in function. They also help in accumulation of food, assimilation of food, all that even this coloncyma does. Okay, apart from that, functions of parenchyma, they also provide mechanical support to the growing parts such as young stem and petiole of a leaf. So they provide that mechanical support. See, they don't have a vertebral column like what we have. Then how are they erect, these plants? They are erect because of this mechanical tissues. Like coloncyma is a living mechanical tissue, sclerenchyma is a dead mechanical tissue. They provide the mechanical strength for the plants or the trees. So colon provides mechanical support to the growing parts such as young stem and petiole of a leaf. Where you find this colon, they are providing mechanical support to the growing parts such as young stem and petiole of a leaf. These cells here they contain chloroplast similar to parenchyma, and they help in assimilation of food. So they not only undergo photosynthesis, but they also help in assimilating food. Now the next tissue, simple permanent tissue, is sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is a simple permanent tissue. It is commonly called as dead mechanical tissue. Sclerenchyma is commonly called as dead mechanical tissue. The secondary layer of cell wall, the secondary layer, not the primary layer, the secondary layer of cell wall of sclerenchyma, it is having this lignin deposited, lignification we call it as. So pectin deposition, we call it as pectinization. Pectin we find in case of colon-chyma. The secondary layer of sclerenchyma is lignified. That is, they have deposition of lignin. Lignin is a hydrophobic substance. They do not allow water to enter in. And as a result of this, the sclerenchyma at maturity is a dead tissue. Okay. So sclerenchyma is of two types, fibers and sclerites. So the fibers you might find, they are all nothing but sclerenchyma and sclerites. So they are examples of types of sclerenchyma. Okay. So fibers and sclerites. So the sclerenchyma is a simple permanent tissue. It is also commonly called as the dead mechanical tissue. So the sclerenchyma, it consists of long, narrow cells with thick and lignified cell walls. The secondary layer of cell wall is lignified. So if you're drawing this diagram, the primary layer, first layer of cell wall, it would be thin. The secondary layer of cell wall is thicker. So because they are lignified cell walls, the secondary layer of cell wall is lignified, and they have few or numerous pits. So you can notice here the cells of sclerenchyma are long, narrow cells with thick and lignified cell wall. Thick lignified cell wall you can notice, and they have pits, few or numerous pits. So the sclerenchyma is dead without protoplasm. So sclerenchyma at maturity is a dead tissue without protoplast. I told you that the secondary layer of cell wall is lignified. So once they are lignified, lignin is hydrophobic. They don't allow water to enter in. As a result of it, the cells are dead tissue at maturity. They do not have protoplast. They are usually, the sclerenchyma is a dead tissue without protoplast. So based on the form of sclerenchyma, origin and development, so the sclerenchyma is of different types based on their form, structure, origin, and development. Sclerenchyma is of two major types, that is fibers and sclerites. So you can remember them as fibers and sclerites based on their form, structure, origin, and development. Sclerenchyma is of two types, that is fibers and sclerites. So when we are studying under the sclerenchyma, the fibers, these are thick-walled, elongated. So you can see a fiber diagram. These are thick-walled, elongated, and pointed cells at their apex. You find them, they are all pointed cells occurring in groups. They occur in groups. So the fibers are thick-walled, elongated, and pointed cells which are occurring in the groups. So the sclerites, these are spherical, oval, or cylindrical, or highly thickened dead cells with very narrow cavities. So the sclerites are scattered. Okay, these are spherical. They can be spherical in shape, oval in shape, cylindrical in shape, or high. They are highly thickened dead soils with very narrow cavity. So you can see that lumen is very small when compared to the fiber. The lumen in case of a sclerite is very small. So these are found. The sclerites, where are they found? They are found in the fruit walls of nut, pulp of fruits like guava, pear, and sapota. See, pear, it is the same as apple, but generally the Marcebo, what you call, and what you consume, the spear, the nati variety I'm talking about, so that is very hard. Nowadays, you get this Chinese spear, which are all very soft in nature, but the general, the wild variety of pears, they are hard in nature because of this sclerites which are found in the uh, pulp of pear and sapota, that is chiku. So you find this uh, sclerites distributed in them. Seed coats of legumes and leaves of tea also have sclerites. So sclerites are scattered. They are found in the fruit walls of nuts. They are found in the pulp of fruits like guava, pear, and chiku or sapota. The seed coat of legumes and leaves of tea leaves, they also have this sclerites in them. So sclerites are spherical, oval, or cylindrical in shape. They are highly thickened cells. They are highly thickened cells with a small, very narrow cavities called as lumen. So the sclerites, where are they located? They are found in the fruit walls of nut, pulp of fruits like guava, pear, and chiku or sapota. The seed coats of legumes and the tea leaves also have this sclerites. So what is the function of sclerenchyma? They provide mechanical support to the organs. They provide mechanical support to the organs. So they are dead mechanical tissue. Sclerenchyma is a dead mechanical tissue. And also remember the sclerenchyma or fibers are associated with phloem and xylem. So they also are assisting in conduction of water as well as the food conducting tissue. So they are found associated with xylem, we call it as xylem fibers. If they are found associated with phloem, we call them as phloem fibers. So this is what you notice in case of sclerenchyma. So the types of sclerenchyma fibers are there. These are thin, thick-walled, elongated, and pointed cells. Lumen is larger space is there. So they generally occur in groups. The fibers occur in group. The sclerites, these are short, spherical, oval or cylindrical shaped, highly thickened dead cells with very narrow lumen. Very small lumen is there. Lumen is the space, very narrow lumen or cavity. So these are found, these sclerites are found in the fruit wall of nuts, pulp of fruits like guava, pear and sapota, seed coats of legumes and leaves of tea. See, based on their types of sclerites, the shape of sclerites, different types of sclerites are there. If they are bone shaped, we call them as osteosclerites. If they are star shaped, we call them as astrosclerites. Some of them are triradiate. The sclerites are triradiate. We call them as trichosclerites. Then there is macrosclerites, which are columnar and occur in group. So we call them as macrosclerites. Brachysclerites, they look just like the uh, mosquito coil. The brachysclerites, they just look like mosquito coil. So they are called as the brachysclerites. So there are different types of sclerites based on their shape. If the sclerites are bone shaped, we call them as osteosclerites. If the sclerites are star shaped, we call them as astrosclerites. Some of these sclerites, they have three they are triradiate, so we call it as trichosclerites. And some of the sclerites are columnar or pillar like and are found in groups. We call them as macrosclerites. Some of the sclerites are isodiametric in shape. They almost look like the mosquito coil. They are the brachysclerites. So these are the different types of sclerites based on their shape. So here they have not given those variety in your textbook, but you can remember about the different types of sclerites based on their shape and structure. Okay, so that is one thing that you should all remember about. Then the next one that we are proceeding for is the permanent mature tissues. Under that, the complex permanent tissues we are going to study about. I've already told you complex permanent tissue is a heterogeneous tissue because they are made up of different types of tissues which have different structure and origin, but they all have a common function. So that is what you have to remember in case of a complex permanent tissue. These are made of more than one type of cells and they work together as a unit. So they are heterogeneous in nature. Complex permanent tissues are heterogeneous tissues since they are having different types of tissue which are different in structure and origin, but all of them they work as a unit for a common function. That is either it is water conducting tissue or food conducting tissue. So the complex permanent tissue is of two types, xylem and phloem. So the complex permanent tissues is of they are of two types, complex permanent tissues, either xylem or phloem. They have two types, xylem and phloem. So the complex permanent tissue we'll discuss about the xylem. So the xylem is also called as water conducting tissue. It functions as a conducting tissue for water and minerals from roots to the stem and leaves. So they are supplying water from the roots where they are the root hairs absorb the water from the soil, okay, and they are pumping this water against the gravitational force to the tip of the stem and leaves. So we'll be studying about how exactly this transport of water and minerals takes place in plants. So there are various theories for that. Now, as of now, the complex permanent tissues are of two types, xylem and phloem. So xylem, it functions as a conducting tissue for water and minerals from the root to the stem and leaves. So xylem also provides mechanical strength to the plant parts because you notice that fibers are associated with xylem, which we call it as xylem fibers. So the xylem is composed of four types of elements. So tracheids are found in primitive plants like pteridophytes and gymnosperms. The xylem exists as tracheids. In case of angiosperms, the advanced plants like angiosperms, the xylem is made up of vessels, or we also call it as trachea. In case of primitive plants like pteridophytes and gymnosperms, the xylem is made up of tracheids. In case of advanced plants like angiosperms, see primitive and advanced in the view from the viewpoint of evolution. Okay, so they have this vessels or trachea are found in case of angiosperms. So the fibers associated with xylem we call it as xylem fibers, and parenchyma associated with xylem we call it as xylem parenchyma. So the xylem is composed of four kinds of cells or elements, that is tracheids, vessels, xylem fibers, xylem parenchyma. See, the tracheids we'll discuss about. So these are elongated tube-like dead cells with thick and lignified walls and tapering ends. They have pointed tapering ends in case of this tracheids. So the protoplasm is absent in case of tracheids. The inner layers of cell walls have thickenings which vary in form and structure. Okay, the ornamentation of this lignin it varies. In flowering plants, tracheids and vessels are the main water transporting elements, but majority of the angiosperms they are made up of vessels, trachea or vessels. So very little of tracheids are there. So tracheids, you should remember that these are the elongated uh, tube-like dead cells. Okay, so you can notice here the tracheids, they are elongated tube-like dead cells with tapering ends and their thick and lignified walls are there. So even in case of the tracheids or trachea, they are dead tissues. See, if you they many times they ask you which is the living component of xylem. Xylem parenchyma is the only living component, whereas the tracheids, trachea or vessels, xylem fibers, they are all dead tissues. So you should remember that. Similarly, in phloem, they ask you which is the only dead tissue in phloem. Phloem fibers is the only dead tissue in phloem. So you have to remember the tracheids here, they are elongated tube-like dead cells and they have a thick and lignified wall. So if you look into this diagram, first two diagram here, they are tracheids. They are elongated dead cells, tube-like dead cells with thick and lignified walls, and they have tapering ends. If you look into these ends, they are having this tapering ends. Protoplasm is absent in case of this trichids. The inner layer of cell walls have thickenings which vary in form. See, the thickenings can be annular thickenings, or it can be just like spring, spiral type of lignification, or the lignification could be ladder like, which we call it as scalariform, or it can be so the ornamentation of that lignin, so that varies. So accordingly, different types of tracheids or vessels are there. So reticulate, the annular tracheids or vessels. Then you come across the scalariform tracheids or vessels, pitted and border pitted tracheids or vessels. So that is because of this various forms due to the deposition of lignin. So even here, the secondary layer of cell wall is thick and lignified walls are there. So in flowering plants, tracheids and vessels are the main water transporting elements, especially vessels, they are the main transporting elements. So that you have to remember about. There is another name for vessels. It is also called as trachea. Okay. So the vessels, already you can notice here the xylem vessels. So the xylem vessels, they are long cylindrical tube-like structure made up of many cells, that is vessel members, each with lignified walls and a large central cavity. So they don't have tapering walls, they have lignified walls, and they have a large central cavity. Okay, protoplasm is absent even in case of vessels. So majority of angiosperms, they are made up of, predominantly they are made up of vessels. The lower plants predominantly they are made up of tracheids. Okay, so the vessels, they are, it is also called as trachea. Another name for vessel is, it is also called as trachea. Okay, so they are long cylindrical tube-like structures which are made up of many cells or vessel members, each with lignified walls. The walls of the secondary layer of even these vessels, they have lignified walls, and a large central cavity is there. So protoplasm is absent. The vessel members are interconnected to one another through perforations. So the end walls, they have perforations. The vessels have this end walls or perforations are there, that is absent in tracheids. They have tapering end walls. So the end walls in case of vessels are perforated, and they are interconnected through perforations in their common walls. So the vessel members are interconnected through their end wall perforations by common wall. So vessels are a characteristic feature of angiosperms. Gymnosperms lack vessels. So the vessels or trachea, it is found in the higher plants or advanced plants like angiosperms I told you. There is one example in gymnosperm, so which is called as needham. Needham is an example for woody climbers. See, Tarzan, you might have noticed that he jumps from a tree, one tree to another tree. He can't hold a normal creeper. If he holds a normal creeper, it would snap and he would fall down. Okay, so they are woody creepers. What he holds and jumps from tree to tree, they are woody creepers, which we call it as lianae. And most of these lianae are because of this needham. Needham is a plant found in gymnosperm. Needham is considered to be a connecting link between the gymnosperms and angiosperms. See, needham is placed under gymnosperm. It is considered to be a connecting link between gymnosperm and angiosperm because it has vessels. So needham, which is present in gymnosperm, since it has vessels, it is considered to be a connecting link between gymnosperms and angiosperms. I also told you needham forms the lianae, that is the woody climbers. Okay, so the vessels are a characteristic feature of angiosperms. Gymnosperms lack vessels except needham. So needham is a connecting link between the gymnosperm and angiosperm by their possession of vessels. Okay, so again, understand what vessels are. It is a long cylindrical tube-like structure. It is made up of many cells or vessel members. Each is having a lignified wall and a large central cavity. So it's a long cylindrical tube structure made up of many cells, vessel members, which are arranged one above the other, each with lignified walls and a large central cavity. So their end walls have perforations, so vessel members are interconnected through perforations in their common walls. So there are perforations one above the other, the vessels are arranged and they are all interconnected through their perforations in their common walls. So the vessels are characteristic feature of advanced plants like angiosperms. Gymnosperms don't have vessels. Okay, so these are things that I wanted you all to know about. So we'll have a brief discussion of the xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers. So xylem fibers, they are the sclerenchyma fibers, which are highly thickened walls and they have this lumen, obliterated central lumen. See, this is the septate xylem fibers, aseptate xylem fibers also you can notice. So they are highly thickened walls. So the xylem fibers, you can notice this diagram of xylem fibers. They are highly thickened walls and they have obliterated central lumen. So this xylem fibers can be septate or they can be aseptate. They are dead tissues, so they provide mechanical strength to the vascular tissues. Also, the vascular tissues, like the xylems, they also provide mechanical strength to the plants because they have xylem fibers with them, which are highly thickened walls and they have this obliterated central lumens. So they can be septate or aseptate, the xylem fibers. The xylem parenchyma is the only living component of xylem. So they are living and thin-walled cells with cellulosic cell walls. So here you don't notice lignin because they are parenchyma. They store food materials. So the xylem parenchyma, they store food materials, starch or fat, and even substances like tannins, alkaloids like tannins, they are stored in this xylem parenchyma. So the radial conduction of water takes place by the ray parenchymatous cells. Radial conduction of water is from root hair to the xylem, the radial conduction of water. So the horizontal movement of water. See, from root to the tip of stem, it is vertical movement of water. The radial conduction is through the radii, that is horizontal movement of water from root hair to xylem. It takes place by this radial conduction of water takes place by this ray parenchymatous cells. So xylem, they are of two types. Primary xylem is of two types. So the protoxylem, which is the first formed elements, and metaxylem, which is the later formed primary xylem. See here you can notice this is the large one is the metaxylem. They have a big lumen. The protoxylem are the small ones. So they are first formed elements. Protoxylem are first formed elements. Metaxylem are formed later. They are the later formed primary xylem. So then, based on their arrangement of this protoxylem and metaxylem, we have exarch and endarch type of uh, xylem arrangement in dicot stem. So you can notice that the protoxylem is towards the pith or center of the stem. Metaxylem is towards the external side, that is periphery. So you can notice here where I'm pointing the cursor key. The metaxylem is towards the periphery. Protoxylem is towards the pith or center of the stem. So this sort of arrangement where protoxylem is inside, endo, we call it as endarch. So the protoxylem is towards the pith, we call it as endarch. Example is dicot stem, monocot stem, dicot leaf, monocot leaf. So they exhibit this endarch condition. Exarch, external. See, protoxylem is towards the periphery. Metaxylem, the larger lumen where they are found towards the pith. So since this protoxylem is towards the external side, we call it as exarch. If protoxylem is towards the internal, endarch. So dicot root and monocot root, they are the only plants where they exhibit this exarch. where the first formed elements, protoxylem, are towards the periphery, and later formed elements with large lumen, that is the metaxylem, is found towards the pith. So in stems and leaf, protoxylem lies towards the center or pith, and metaxylem towards the uh, periphery. This type of primary xylem is called endark. So you find protoxylem is found towards the center of the stem or the pith, we call it as, and the metaxylem is towards the periphery. So in roots, protoxylem is towards the periphery and metaxylem is towards the center or pith. This type of primary xylem, we call it as exarch. So you have to remember about endark and exarch. So the phloem or bast, will study about that in tomorrow's class. Okay. So this is what is I wanted to discuss about for today's class. If you have any doubts or clarification, so you can just